Hi, it's Anymovie Kim here. Today I'm going to review a sci-fi movie from 2021 called The Tomorrow War. There will be a lot of spoilers, so watch out. The movie starts in December 2022. The main character, Dan Forrester, is a biology teacher who lives with his wife, Emmy, and his daughter, Muri. They are having a Christmas party. Also, they are watching a World Cup. But suddenly, some kind of wormhole opens up in the arena, and several soldiers come out from it. They announce to everyone that they came from the future, and in 30 years' time, humanity will face extinction due to an alien invasion. They are asking people in the present to come to the future and help them fight those aliens. A year later, many militaries are sent to the future, but only a few of them manage to survive. Now even the civilians have to join the fight, so many riots and protests are going on as well. Even the students in dance class can focus on their studies because they think that everyone is just going to die anyway. Dan is later called to test for a draft, and he meets the qualification to join the military. He gets a device placed onto his arm that will aid him in time jumping. Dan returns home and tells his family that he has been drafted. The two are heartbroken and hug Dan goodbye. He goes to the draft where he and other people are told about the plan. They will be joining the mission for 7 days. After that, they will jump back to the present by the device. Without any time to prepare, they pass through the jump link into the future. But something goes wrong and they are dropped off way higher than the plan. Many of them already fall to their death, while Dan and the others land in the swimming pool. Dan reports to the commander, who informs the team that the military is planning a blanket bombardment on the area to wipe out any aliens. She tells the team to rescue a research team before the bombs drop. Dan leads the team since he has experience in the military. They move to the facility but find out that the research team is dead. But they manage to recover their research. The team try to escape from the facility, but they face the aliens called the White Spikes. They are fast and shoot deadly spikes with their tails. Dan and his team kill one of the White Spikes and find out that neck and belly is their weak point. They continue to defeat White Spikes as they run, but one of the teammates falls through a tunnel. The White Spikes are chasing after them, so the injured teammate and one other member sacrifice themselves to let the team escape before the military bomb drops. The team wakes up at a military camp in the Dominican Republic. Dan meets the commander, who turns out to be his daughter in the future, Muri. She tells Dan about their plan to capture the female White Spike, since its physiology is key to their extinction. On the way to the hive, Muri explains to Dan that the White Spikes came to Earth without getting caught in the radar or satellite. Just in 3 years, they put humans on the brink of extinction. The team goes down to the hive and manages to capture the female White Spike, but other male White Spikes come to the hive to save the female. The helicopter escapes with the female contained in the cage. Dan and Muri escape on the military vehicle. After succeeding in the mission, they move to the base, called Deepswell. At this place, they run through thousands of tests to develop the toxin that could wipe out the White Spikes. Muri tells Dan that when the toxin is complete, he should take it to the present and to stop the White Spikes before the war begins. Dan questions the fate of this timeline, and Muri says there is no hope here, and it's the only way to win. When the toxin is complete, all the White Spikes start to raid into the base. They try to escape with the toxin, but Muri is attacked by one of the White Spikes and gets seriously injured. Since the time for jump link approaches, Muri gives the toxin to Dan and asks him to go by himself. At that moment, another White Spike comes up and tries to attack them, but the bridge collapses and Muri almost falls with it. Dan tries to save her, but she lets go of his hand. However, Dan still jumps off to save her. At that time, Jump Link activates, returning him and other survivors back to the present. Dan loses his conscience, and when he wakes up, he hears that the Jump Link is now offline, making it impossible to go back to the future. Dan comes back home and is really happy to see his daughter in the present. As he talks with his wife Emmy, he tells her that he met Muri in the future and worked with her. Emmy suggests that maybe the aliens didn't arrive in 2048 when the invasion began. Instead, they may have been there much earlier. After that, Dan meets with one of his teammates, Dorian, who has a White Spike's claw that he kept as a souvenir. They investigate the claw and by retracing the volcanic ash on the claw, they discover that white spikes have already been on Earth this whole time, and they were frozen under the ice, which is expected to melt in 2048. So they try to go to Russia, but the government person denies it due to the lack of evidence and people protesting all over the place. Since they couldn't get any help, Dan goes to his father, who abandoned his family a long time ago, and asks him to take them to Russia. They also manage to get the mass-produced toxin and head to Russia. They arrive and start searching for the place. They find a place with a strange magnetic field, so they blow up the place and find a huge alien spaceship underneath. They decide to go into the spaceship and find out that the ship was run by different species. They were carrying the white spikes as a cargo to eliminate other planets. They proceed to inject the toxin into the white spikes, but the aliens wake up and begin to escape from the ship. Dan tells his father, who is waiting outside, to hold them off. Dorian and one other member fight against the white spikes in the ship, while others go outside. There are too many white spikes remaining in the ship, so Dorian decides to sacrifice himself and blow up the place. Although most aliens have died, one female white spike escaped. Dan and his father bait the white spike with a decoy and try to finish her. Dan puts the toxin into the white spike's mouth and pushes her off the cliff. Finally manages to kill them all. Dan and his father unite with their family, and the movie ends with the couple kissing each other. What do you guys think about this movie? If you guys liked the video, please leave a like and sub to the channel. Hope you guys have a great day. See you guys next time.